Good morning, and good afternoon to Paul, who is coming from Australia. He is a last minute stand-in, so I'm not prepared. So we're going to be winging this interview very much. Um, Hello, Paul. Would you like to start off by telling us about yourself and your books?
Yes, well, that'll take up most of the time. um, let's say I was born in England. I was born in near London, and then my parents whisked me away to Zimbabwe. So I grew up in Zimbabwe, then I lived in America, then I lived in the Middle East. Now I'm living in Australia, but my family is in Norwich in East Anglia. So that's basically, so I have many homes, but now I'm settled in Australia. So the books I've written have been dotted around the world. So um, I started, and I'm not ashamed to say, with Enid Blyton, and I grew up with Enid Blyton and her mystery stories. So I thought when I grow up, I'm going to be a mystery writer like Enid Blyton. But it took me a while. um, so the first book I wrote was when I was living in Zimbabwe. There was everyone was reading Enid Blyton, and it seems strange. It seems like a cultural difference, but they loved Enid Blyton. And the librarian said to me one day, said, "I wish someone would write an Enid Blyton set in Zimbabwe." I thought, there's my chance. So I just wrote a mystery, a very Enid Blyton mystery set in Zimbabwe with Zimbabwe children, and it was a big hit. It got a big prize, and so I thought, yes, I'm an Enid Blyton writer. But it took a while till I wrote again. So it's only recently I've come back to crime and mystery, and I just love it. So last year I wrote. I've always loved Agatha Christie. It was the book was And There Were None, and there were none. I can't remember the title. And there were none. Where they're all on this island and they all get killed one by one. That one. And then there was a series on TV too. And I thought I'd love to write. It's a challenge. I'd love to write a novel that does this. I didn't realize how hard it would be because everyone's got an alibi. Everyone's a suspect. Anyone could be the killer. So whatever happens, it's just like a huge jigsaw puzzle. But I loved writing it. So that became 12 Days, and Bloodhound Books picked that up, and that came out just before Christmas last year because it's a Christmas book. And I'm pleased to say they're sort of re-releasing it now, and it's been sold to Portugal, Spain, so it'll be in various languages. So if you missed it the first time around, there's another Christmas horror story to read. Um, yeah. And then the latest book is called Don't Tell, and that's, I mean, we're right. I'm so glad that you picked me up, and there was a little spot for me because it's coming out tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow in it's tomorrow in your part of the world. So it's Don't Tell. Also, Bloodhound Books, and this one I decided to set in Australia where I live because I thought I live on this beautiful part of the coast, and why not spoil it and have some murders happen? So that's generally my story of my writing career up till now.
Awesome. Wow, you've had an amazing life so far then, living all over the world.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't by choice. I mean,
Yeah.
my parents, they whisked me away from. So I was born in England, but I've never lived in my home country. So that's a strange. I visit often. Well, I have been visiting until
Yeah.
COVID, but yeah, it still seems like home to me.
What did you do as a career?
That's an interesting thing too. I was a teacher, and then I became a university lecturer. So that's also what took me around the world. So I was lecturing in the Middle East and in America and now in Australia. So basically, I always wanted to be a writer, but you can't always make a living by being a writer. So do something else. so I teach creative writing. I teach literature. So it's close. It's close to what I love doing. Um, but of course, they keep you very busy. doing research and teaching, but I love what I do. I've managed to bring crime into it in a way because I'm researching crime novels, which is a way of like bringing the two together. And they're very interested and I think we did a survey with this group actually. They're very interested in how people read crime and whether they try and solve the mystery or not. And so I'm doing some research on that. But so that's what I do for a career. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm at uni at the minute, so I appreciate how hard it is.
Yeah. Aren't you doing forensics or something like that? I seem to.
Yeah,
Now
that's right.
now that's what I need because, and I think that's the central thing for crime because all these days it's all forensics, isn't it? Like the clues and everything are all.
Yeah,
Like,
it is. It's amazing.
well, that's so. Are you going to use that to write some forensic crime novels?
That's the plan.
Is that the
That
idea?
is the plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's wonderful.
So
Because
I'm the same. I started off reading Enid Blyton, and I've read since I was a child. So yeah, eventually I'd like to write, but obviously I need to get my degree out the way first.
yeah, but that's what I envy you because see, having a degree I had a degree in English. If I'd have done like police or forensics, because now what I have to do, I've got a friend who's a detective here and he's in forensics. And of course, I have to give him my novel and he just laughs at me. He says, hey, don't do this, or this is not how it works. And so I've got someone to tell me how it actually works, and what happens when you arrive on a crime scene, etc. And it's quite challenging now because for the criminal, because it's hard to get away with anything because of DNA testing and forensics. It's like you have to be very smart. My criminals in the book have to be very smart to avoid detection.
Yeah.
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 With forensics, I mean, what would besides becoming a crime writer, how would you be involved in sort of forensics testing or um, I'm not sure what career that
Well,
would lead to.
what people don't realise about forensics is you can either be a CSI or SOCO, seeds of crime. But if you actually want to do forensics, you have to decide on a speciality. So you'd have to decide to do DNA or bugs or blood or ballistics, and it's mostly lab based. But it's a really hard job to get into. So yeah, I'm not really sure at the
Yeah.
minute.
Wow. So there's ballistics, blood, DNA,
Insects,
all these
biology,
specialties. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
flowers,
that's
and
because what you see in the crime novel, they just bring forensics and here they are and they just do their job. We don't really know what it involves, but that's amazing.
yeah, it's lots of specialities. I think some of them are going to be sort of slowly got rid of because they're not needed with DNA and stuff, but some will always be. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've just
Wow.
been doing an assignment on DNA, and at
So
the
how
moment
far are you through?
I'm in my last year.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I find that fascinating because especially, I mean, I was reading all the old Agatha Christie's and I mean, how things have changed now because, basically it was like guesswork and clues and now it's like just forensics basically.
yeah.
So in my novel, of course, I've tried, I don't know if this is how it works, but the criminals, like they're all sort of like disinfect all their victims or throw them in the sea because to try and get rid of any traces, any DNA traces. So I'm not even sure whether that works now, whether you could still trace people through after they've been thrown in the sea, which is what I've just done to one of my poor victims.
You've mentioned Agatha Christie a few times. Are there any other authors that have sort of inspired your writing?
Oh, I just read everything. So it's always a new favorite and a another one. I'm gonna plug Patricia, because I mean I've read a lot. I mean I've got a whole library behind me of Ian Rankin and who else have I got? But I just want to mention Me Too, because what happened with her book, I don't know if you've read Me Too, hashtag Me Too, but what I love about the kind of books I love are these psychological suspense, where you're not sure who's telling the truth. It's like, and her book, it's like, is he telling the truth or is she telling the truth? What's real? And I think that's really interesting, because we live in this world of fake news and also, how to believe someone. So the book I'm writing now is about gaslighting. Well, no, the book that's coming out tomorrow, gaslighting, where, you create someone creates a reality around someone else and they're not sure what's true or not. And I find that fascinating. So when I read Me Too, Trisha's book, I thought, wow, this is it's exactly the kind of thing I like to do too. How people mess with people's reality and create a world around them that might not be true. And as a reader, I was reading that book, that who's telling the truth? I think that's the kind of book I love.
Yeah.
It's psychological drama and inside people's heads. Yeah. So my book that's coming out tomorrow, that's exactly what it is. It's like the main woman protagonist, she doesn't know whether her husband is telling her the truth or not, and what's happening around her, and she has to find that out. So I enjoyed that sort of thing. Yeah.
How did you come to be signed by Bloodhound? Obviously, they're British based, and you're in Australia. Is that a hurdle as well? Or?
Not really. I think they've signed up people from all over the world. There's a few of us Australians who are signed up with Bloodhound, and Americans, and been in contact with each other. But when I wrote the book, I found Bloodhound, and they look so good. Because what I liked about them is that they're these big publishers that they sort of monopolize the world. I think there's only 4. They rule everything, and Bloodhound has managed to what we call disrupt that market. They've sort of broken it, and they're doing so well. And I just admire them so much, because it's not a big corporation. It's very personal, and we know who they are. And that's how I got to know Patricia Dawes. And can I mention Kerry, in case she starts asking me some questions? Difficult.
She hasn't had a chance today, you're fine.
She's probably still sleeping, yeah.
Good. No, Kerry, yeah.
That's Kerry Beavers. It's just a lot of people there's a community of writers that support each other. It's a small but big publisher. That's what I love about it, because I've worked with other publishers on other books. Like I've worked with Macmillan on a textbook I'm writing, and it's so big you don't meet anybody, and then your editor one day, then it's someone else the next day, and it's someone else the next day, and it's outsourced all over the world. So to have a very close personal community is amazing. So I just sent them 12 days, and they liked it, and they said, yes, we'll do it. And so that's how it started. Yeah.
Awesome.
And of course, I'm connected to England. So before COVID, I'd come visit my family in Norwich, and of course, Bloodhound is based in Cambridge, which is nearby. So I just hopped on the train and I went and met them, and it's been great. Yeah.
And Kerry Beavers lives in Norwich as well.
I know. Well, this is the other thing. I was staying close by her. I didn't even know that she was living there. She's probably about 3 streets away. So that's an interesting coincidence too. Yeah.
Yeah. If you were to be a character in any book ever, who would you be?
Here's the hard question that I was waiting for. Wow. That's so hard. Wow. I'll have to think about that one. Character in a book. Well, there's so many. I suppose I have to go. I mean, I have to go back to being a kid, I suppose, because when I was reading the Narnia books, I really wanted to be one of those kids and not I want to be a king in Narnia, and have all those adventures, have all those talking animals. These days, with these books, I'm not sure if I want to be in these books, in the adult books that I read. uh, I have to go back to childhood, I think. So yeah, it would be a Narnia book.
As
Probably
there,
didn't
yeah, there's
but
lots happening in Narnia as well, so I'm not sure I'd want to go there either.
yeah, yeah, I know. But that was the fantasy, being a king of Narnia as a child and having all these talking animals around you. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the last book that made you cry?
These are so difficult questions. Oh no. I I'm sorry, I have to say it's Patricia Dawes' Me Too again, because it's quite recent. And it was like it just hit home so much because it did much more than I expected it to. It went somewhere like very like it went to sort of a nerve, which hits people. So that was the one. That was the one that made me cry. There's many. I have to admit there are many. I just read I Am Elizabeth Smart. Uh, it's a true story, and it's a movie as well. She was abducted by someone in Utah, and it was a terrible experience. And then she escaped, and when she escaped, and she's all safe and stuff. That's what happens. You can't help it, but because she went through such an ordeal, and because it was a true story as well.
Yeah. If you read Resistance by Trish?
No, I haven't. That's on my to be read list, and there's so many on my to be read list. So, but could you recommend that? Have you read that?
Yeah, that's. I think that's the last book that made me cry. It made me cry a
Oh
lot,
wow!
actually. And it's a book where when I finished it, I had to sit there for a few minutes, and then I wanted to tell Trish how good it was, but I literally couldn't think of anything to say. It was, yeah, it's special. It's very, very good.
Oh, that's good. Okay, well, it'll move up to my top of the to be read list. And
Yeah,
that's the trouble. There's so many good books that I want to read. So many coming out. I think, okay, I'll get this. I've got this Kindle, and it's full of these books that I haven't read yet. But this Christmas, I will.
yeah, I've got that, and then I started doing these interviews, and then obviously I tried to do a degree, so something has to give.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Luckily, I'm a
but it's
fast reader, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
yeah, yeah. Especially with these crime, I just can't stop reading it. If I start, I have to finish. So that's the thing. Yeah,
Yeah, and some of these authors are so good, and everyone
yeah.
seems to be releasing new books at the minute. So, oh god.
I know. Yeah, but it's been wonderful because I haven't done, since I was saying I was into Enid Blyton as a child and I wrote that book. That was when I was just came out of school. And then I haven't done anything until now. So it's so nice to get back into this whole world. I've got all these books to read, which I love, So rather than, being at university, I was reading academic books and theory, so to read crime is just a joy when I can. Yeah.
Do your students know you're an author?
Yes. The nice thing is, because I teach creative writing, so I bring in my experience, and they like that because I'm just a fellow writer instead of me knowing stuff and they don't know stuff. It's more like we're just a group of people who like writing and we like books, and so I just share everything, just especially along the way, like as I'm getting published. So this is how they're editing it. This is what's happening, and I think it really helps people to see the process of how it works. Yeah, so it's really fun because there's a lot of good writers and readers in that I teach too. So it's almost like we're not student and teacher; we're just a community of writers. So, and they write amazing stuff as well. So when I have to mark all the assignments, it's a pleasure. It's not like a job. It's like, wow, look at these stories they're writing and they're amazing. So um, I like that part of the job very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does a writing day look like for you then?
Well, you talked earlier before the interview about getting up early. I get up. I can't help it. I get up, and especially here now it's summer. If you remember what summer's like, it's like light at 4:30 in the morning. So I get up early and I write. That's the first thing I do, because otherwise, as you know, if you're studying or just everything starts coming into your life and you've got so much to do. So I just like try and keep everything away and just write for the first few hours when I wake up, and then of course life takes you away from that. So that's how I do it. And then evening I like to read. Can when I have time to read. So it's like in between I work all day. So it's interesting. Um, it's so busy the whole time. And everyone says, "Why are you working so hard?" I said, "It's not work. It's writing and reading. So I can't help it." So it's an early start for me.
Will that be different in the winter then when it's not light so early?
Yeah, I think so. Well, then I'll start at 7 in the morning. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't get that cold here, as you probably know, in the winter. So, but uh, so I always try and write every day. And, well, it's not like a chore. It's just I always have this thing. I wake up, I've got to write this down before I forget. That's what happens. I've got to write it down and I write. So it's that's how I do it. Yeah.
I've heard the phrase plotter and pantser. Which are you in your writing?
Well, this is the interesting thing. I always used to be the pantser, and it's so hard because you have an idea, you write it down, say, oh, let's go, and you write for a while, then you get stuck and you think, oh no, maybe that's all wrong. You cross it all out and you start again. And I go, so that's why actually I wrote 12 days, because I thought I'm going to be a plotter. And if you write like Agatha Christie, surely you have to plot every single thing. So I tried to plot out the whole novel and every chapter, every person, all the characters, and I thought this is the way to do it, and it is. But of course, because I'm a pantser, as I'm writing that plot, it starts to change, and its characters start to do different things. That I know, but I think that's what. So it's a bit of both. I think if you plot everything like to the letter, it makes it easier, I suppose, to write. But I find there has to be some sort of, I don't know, thing, something that happens when you write. You write, oh, this is the character starts taking on a life of their own, or oh, it should go here rather than here. So I think it's a bit of both for me. But I much prefer. I wish I could just be a plotter. I don't know. So then it's just done. Plot, write. And I know people, a lot of writers, and I was listening to, was it Lee Child was saying this? He was talking about and that he's a pantser. So he starts one of his big thrillers, and he has no idea where it's going to go. Like here's this first scene, and I thought that must be terrible. And apparently, he says it is. It's like then he spends months fretting about what do I do next? What do they do next? And and he manages to get to the end. So
Yeah.
I don't know what would you be if you when you're writing? What would
I'm not a planner. I've never planned uni essays or school essays, so no, I'd be a pantser completely.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think it becomes more real, more spontaneous, so. But it's hard with a crime novel when you're supposed to know, because you have to plot something, so well, you know who the murderer is, what they're going to do, and how they're going to, cover up the crime, so especially when I wrote the 12 days, because it's a locked room mystery, and it's very, very like tightly controlled. There's all there's 12 suspects and so many murders and how they happen. I found that a good exercise to try and not be a pantser, but I am a pantser. Like you.
Yeah. Are you working on anything else at the minute?
Yeah, well, that's the next one. See, of course, I'm writing the next I think it's a sequel to the one that's coming out tomorrow, to Don't Tell, because now I've got this detective, and I've got this place. I think, oh, this, now I can see what's going to happen next. So yeah, I'm writing. I'm nearly finished the next one. Just trying to work it, again, because I planned it, but it's nothing like when I'm writing. It's nothing like with a plan. So it's gone a completely different direction, which is good. I don't know. Yeah.
What was I just going to ask? When we get rid of COVID and the world is normal again, what would your perfect day look like?
Well, I hate to say, but over here we don't have any lockdown or anything at the moment, so it's almost perfect now, because at the moment it's summer and I go to the beach in the morning and we've got no restrictions about meeting or anything. So I think we've reached that perfect day already. But I would like to come back to the UK, because I've got friends there, I've got family, and I haven't been there for a year now. And now I want to meet all these amazing writers that I've been corresponding with, like Trish and Kerry and the Bloodhound authors that I've been working with and talking to. It'd be so nice to meet, because I think they meet, there's a conference or there's a crime festival that happens sometime, and I thought I want to go to this, but of course it was cancelled or it's online. So that would be the perfect day when I come back and sort of meet everyone and have a reunion.
Yeah, Harrogate is.
That's Harrogate.
Yeah, I want to go as well.
Yeah, well, I'll see you there in
2021.
next year.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, because that's what I was looking so forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a good reputation. So I've never been either, so I want to go and meet.
No. So I think a perfect day where you don't have to meet people on Zoom all the time, because I've been also teaching online, as well. So it's been everything's been online, the meetings and your friends and family and teaching. So, it'd be so nice to have back with real people.
Yeah. And I think finally, all I need to ask you is where we can find out more about you and your books.
Oh, thanks. Well, so I'm launching Don't Tell, which is the name of the new book, tomorrow. So it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow, Monday. Because see, it's still Saturday. No, is it? What's it? No, it's Sunday night. It's Sunday night here. Yeah, that'll be the same day. Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday morning. So yeah.
Sunday morning and Sunday evening. So anyway, so it's released tomorrow and it's available on Amazon. I'm watching it already because you can start watching it climb up the charts, and that's the exciting thing. And when a book comes out, it's like, okay, how's it going to go? And already it's like starting to work its way from the bottom of the list up to the top. So I'm just hoping that'll happen. And 12 Days is also going to be re-released. It's going to be on special, and so they're both Christmas books. So they're both available on Amazon, and of course, if you go to the Bloodhound site, they're up there as well. Yeah. So thanks. It's a very exciting time. When the book's coming out, it's like, wow, is this real? Like that, it feels so unreal when it's starting. You've done all this work, it's all been in your head, and suddenly it's out there, and people are starting to give reviews. And I've had some quite good reviews so far, but we was waiting for the 1-star reviews too.
Yeah.
But so far they're all 5 and 4. So
amazing.
It's an exciting.
Yeah. And are you on Facebook, and do you have a website?
Yeah, I've got a website. So because I've got such an unusual name, Paul Williams. If you look up Paul Williams, you'll find a million Paul Williams. So I've had to put Paul Williams author. So that's my webpage. And surprisingly, there's no one called Paul Williams author, one word. So that's my website is Paul Author, and same with the Facebook. And it's interesting. I've been posting on the Facebook the places where I've set the murders, because I've put them in beautiful places, like this beautiful beach. Sunshine Beach is where the first murder takes place. So I took a picture of that. Say, here's the beginning of my book. So it's been, everyone said, wow, interesting place for a murder,
Yeah.
which is why I put it there. Yeah.
So, do you like interacting with your readers on Facebook? And
Yeah, I love it because it's and that's why I also like the reviews, because it's interesting to see what people say, because once you write the book, it's not yours anymore. You don't even know how people are reacting to it. So just to like see what people see, or what they like, don't like, or what they see in your book that you don't see yourself. That's what's really interesting. You think, this is it's about this, and they say, oh, what about this? And I can see this is happening. Oh, okay. That's really interesting. And yeah, I love to, I suppose I don't want to say too much, because I don't, I want to say what I think it's about, but, and of course there's plot spoiling, so I can't do that. But especially this one was about, it started with a real scene that, there's always some idea that starts the book. This started with, it's about a woman who finds an earring in her husband's car. And the husband says, I've never seen that before, a woman's earring. I've never seen. So just that starts that idea. And I thought, where does it go from there? And of course, it can go into, she thinks, is he having an affair? What's going on? Who's the earring belong to? And then she finds that there's a woman who's dead, who's been found in the sea, and she's got one earring missing, and it's that earring. So, so just that idea. And people have asked me, because they ask me, where'd you get the ideas from? And they just, just one little idea becomes a huge novel, So, yeah.
yeah, I've heard that's one of the author's most hated questions, is where do you get your ideas from?
Where'd you get the ideas? Yeah.
So I never ask.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, you could have asked this one, because also what happened at the beach, and the book starts this way, and if people go on Amazon, you can see the beginning of the book. But I was at this beautiful beach early in the morning, and at sunrise, and I saw this amazing beach, and then there was this truck, and this man was throwing something down a drain in a big plastic bag, and I think it was just rubbish. But I looked at it, and as a crime writer, you think, that could be a body he's throwing away. Something suspicious going on, and that's so ideas come from little things like that, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, I can't think of anything else, unless there's anything else you want to tell us.
No, I think that's everything. You've asked all the hard questions, but no, that's all. But just thank you so much, and I just enjoy. In terms of the Facebook groups and how people interact in your group is amazing, and what they're saying and doing and that's what's really nice about being a writer and interacting with other writers and readers, and seeing how everyone networks and how things work. It's been amazing. So thank you so much for running the group, or being part of the admin of that group. It's really been special.
Thanks. Yeah.
To connect, especially during COVID. It's the only way of connecting.
Yeah.
So it's been really good. So thanks so much for talking to me today. Yeah,
my pleasure.
Getting up early.
Well, it's not that early.
I think no, it's not that early. No, but no. Yeah.